Good morning, everyone. It's Jen Meyer with Parmele Law Firm, and we're excited to be with you today. I want to introduce you to one of our attorneys. This is Felicia Von Holten. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I went to Jeff City last week. I've been working with a couple state reps up there to try and get a bill passed that will essentially eliminate medical record costs for folks that are applying for disability, whether that be Social Security or VA, and then also work comp as well.
So, how much do medical records typically cost?
It varies. So obviously the longer your claim goes on, the more medical records you're going to have, which is going to increase those costs. So even though that these folks are applying for disability, just because they have an attorney involved, there's no statute that states any limitations money-wise. There's a variety of other states that have a set statute limit. Some of them are like $6. Some of them are maybe like $18. We don't have any cap. So there's times when folks, after they've fought for so long for their disability, then they have this bill that's like $1,000 because they're trying to get medical records.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a lot for our folks, especially when you haven't been having an income for multiple years. So we're trying to get that reduced so then folks don't have to worry about paying for that. And really, so they don't have to be punished just because they're trying to get help and applying for benefits. If it's just an individual asking for their own records, they do have to fill out a form, typically provide some form of identification. The downside, though, is, these folks, especially when applying for disability benefits, they are dealing with so many other things. And so just a simple task, like you and I would see it as a simple task, is even more difficult when you add the stress on there. And then not to mention, they can make it a little bit more difficult, especially if your name's changed, if they have a different address, then those record requests get kicked back. And so it's not as a smooth process as you would hope. And so that's why we get involved and we help with that, because we have a team that requests medical records pretty much all day, every day. And so they know what needs to be on there and what doesn't. And so when an individual tries, they can experience a lot of frustration and a lot of kickback because they don't have, the right period in the right place or the right T crossed, and so it can be cumbersome for an individual.
What a great endeavor. I'm sure that all of our clients will be super excited when this goes through. So what are we looking at as far as a time frame for a decision?
Yeah, so that's where it gets complicated. So as I'm sure most folks are aware, when you deal with the government, it's a process. So there's various steps. So when we first apply, there has to be, for one, a bill proposed. That's step one. We've achieved step one, which is great. We actually have 2 bills on the floor right now. There's a representative out of St. Louis and then a representative kind of northern Missouri area that's proposed those bills. So then they have to get heard in front of their own committee, and then a committee votes on that, and if it passes through committee, there's several other steps, then it gets to the Senate, and then once the Senate, if they pass it, then it goes to the governor. So it's a long process. We started this actually last year, and then you have to also keep in mind their sessions. So their session ends, and it's my understanding that as soon as a session ends, it pretty much ends everything that's in effect or in the process of becoming in effect. So that also throws a wrench in it. But because this got started so early, it was filed in January, that's good. That means there's a lot of time for it to be able to go through all those steps before this next session ends. So as for timeline, unfortunately, I can't give you a timeline,
Okay.
Because it just varies on how quickly that goes through those steps. But so far, it's been going faster than it has last year, which is great. And especially since we have 2 reps that have proposed a bill, so that's always good.
Now, will you go up to Jeff City again once it reaches the final stage and goes before Senate? Will you be there to talk or present or anything at that?
Yes, so hopefully. It really kind of depends on when they schedule it. So I am hoping to be there for the hearing. Plan on being up in Jeff City about once a month. Just as long as we're still fighting this, I want to be up there in front of the reps, just spreading awareness, getting this in front of others as much as I can. So hopefully it will get passed.
What else do we need to know? What can we do to help you? Do we need to call someone to say, hey, support this bill, or are we at that stage yet?
Yeah, you can always reach out to your reps, your local representatives, and it's all over Missouri. And so, no matter if you're in Kansas City or down in West Plains or here in Springfield and anywhere in between, reach out to your local reps. And it's Missouri Reps. It's a website that you can Google if you don't know personally your rep's name. They provide their email address on there, so you can send them an email. They have a phone. You can email or just give them a call. I know that's kind of old school nowadays, but you can definitely still do that. And honestly, kind of the next step is we just need support for it. So awareness is step one, and the next step, if we get to a hearing, it's support. So if you want to write a letter, give it to us. We can submit it to your local reps as well, if that's another option, if you feel more comfortable with that. But yeah, it's just raising awareness and providing support for it.
Is there anything else about this process you'd like to share with us, or fun things that you saw while you were up there, or interesting situations or anything?
Yeah, it's really cool from my perspective to see how this process unfolds. So I was able to just kind of sit in on a couple other committee hearings just to hear them debate and to talk about things. And honestly, just talking with your reps, they care. And I'm not saying I was totally surprised by that. don't want to make that aware, but they really do care, and it's not really a battle of right and left or red and blue. They really just want what's best for the constituents and the residents of Missouri. And so they are up there fighting for you. I know sometimes it may feel like you're neglected, but trust me, if you bring it to their attention, they will make sure it gets advocated for.
We'll be updating you and let you know if we need your help. So
Yeah.
thanks again, Felicia.
Thanks, Jen.